I have a co-located server that's about to become a decision that I'll either live to regret or maybe I can get it right. So today I'm talking to the guy who builds the hardware I'm considering buying next. So if you're ready, jump in and let's talk about what kind of hardware Eric should buy for his home lab next. Hey there, and welcome to the IT Guy Show. I'm your host, Eric the IT Guy Hendricks. It was almost as if that was planned. Today, I'm talking to Zack from 45HomeLab. If you're from the enterprise side, you might know the company 45 Drives. They make enterprise-grade storage backends. They really promote this whole build it, customize it, and fix it yourself kind of mentality. So it's not a black box. It's pick your parts and put it all in a chassis. And they've got different tiers. But one thing that 45 Drives figured out was that there's a whole bunch of nerdy people out there like myself and like most of you who have home labs, some of which have very, very large storage pools, some of which are running AI models or your Plex servers or the infamous Minecraft server that the kids always complain when things are down. So I reached out to 45 Home Lab, and Zach responded that he would be more than happy for me to kind of pick his brain a little bit about my home lab, my current setup, and what kind of hardware I should get. So, with that in mind, let me introduce you to Zack Perry. Zach, welcome to the
Hey,
IT Guy Show, man.
hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and we were talking in the green room that you have a fantastic microphone and just great presence. So I knew your expertise in the field would be something that my audience would really appreciate. So with that said, why don't you? I always start out easy. I'll give you the easy questions first. We'll get into the hard, tricky ones later.
Beauty.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then always something you do for fun.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Zachary Perry. I've been part of 45 Drives here for it'll be 6 years in October. Part of the solution specialist team, and I also do some obviously our home lab channel, some small R&D work projects, kind of a jack of all trades sort of deal. Um, I let's see, what do I do for fun? Oh, I usually had to think there for a second.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, video games, of course, tinkering with my home lab, even though sometimes that is more frustration than enjoyment, depending on what I'm doing. But I also volunteer at our local animal shelter pretty frequently there. I do that on the weekends. So, small plug, if you have an animal shelter in your area, please donate to them. They need it. So, but yeah, that's one of the big things that I do kind of in my free time.
That's awesome. And as a dog dad myself, I really appreciate those folks that take care of those shelters. I speak for a living, and all the animals therein. I don't know how you do it, man. I would see all those faces, and they'd all come home with me, and they wouldn't fit in my 1,300 square foot apartment. So
Oh, it's rough, especially what kind of dog do you have?
she's an Australian Shepherd, 7 years
Oh,
old.
beautiful. I think the same thing all the time, and I just have a small bungalow style home. Funny enough, today I went in about 2 hours before we hopped on here, and it was like, "Oh, we got two new dogs in. Their names are Teensy and Weensy," and I was like, "Oh, that means
Oh
they're going to be
no.
massive." Two Saint Bernards, 140 and 170 pounds, and
Yep.
I was like, I want to take them home, but nope, not going to do it.
Well, more power to you, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're able to resist teensy and weensy.
yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're here to talk about 45 Home Lab, but that wasn't the origin story. So take us back. Tell us a little bit about 45 Drives and the enterprise storage offerings that 45 Drives loves to promote.
Yeah, so um, the we started in 2014, 2015, actually making servers for Backblaze because of our Protocase division, which is our sister company that does the electronic enclosures for all of our Storinator, our 45 drive systems, our Homelab systems, everything all around that. And from there, we actually used to, FreeNAS was pretty much our what we would send out if somebody wanted a GUI on their system. Since then, we now have our own UI built in the Cockpit project called the Houston UI, freely available for anybody to download and integrate into their own system if they're running Ubuntu 22, Rocky 9, or if you're running something older with Ubuntu 20 or Rocky 8. Obviously, there's going to be some things that aren't going to work there, like we have a drive aliasing motherboard feature. So if it's not one of the motherboards that we have, it might get a little funky there. But yeah, we started using that. And now in the most recent last few years, we've expanded to the US. We have an office in Wilmington. I'm currently in Sydney, Nova Scotia, up in Canada. And we've expanded again from there with our not just ultra dense storage servers, but now we also have our Proxinator. We're big on the Anators with a lot of our solutions here. We have our Destroyinator for wiping up to 60 drives at once, or NVMEs now. Then we also have our Stornado, and then we have actually, funny enough, now that I think about the Homelab division, does not have any of the Anators. They're just plain Jane, just Homelab 15, HL15. But yeah, from there, we've keep expanding, keep doing great stuff. And it's just really interesting to see how the company's evolved over the last few years. And then into, of course, 45HomeLab, which is a little bit of, like you said, you have your nerdy people who a lot of them are in enterprise. A lot of them do like our products and everything, but you're not going to put an XL60 with 60 hard drives, especially nowadays with the prices of everything.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. And it just allows for that barrier of entry, but having something with that same 45 drives enterprise quality build, that customer service, not to kind of humble brag myself here because I am part of that department, but yeah, being able to offer that to people in Homelab is pretty great.
So what was kind of the driver between the additional brand of having 45HomeLab?
I think the main thing with it was that we wanted people who, one, knows about our 45 drives division, but like I said, they want to have something smaller, more of a Homelab sort of build. And then other people who want that kind of, are looking for a Homelab. Maybe they're getting into it for the first time, but they want to kind of go upper echelon to like something a little more premium feeling, quality build, because we do use that 16 gauge steel for everything. Everything is customizable. There's no lock-in. If you want to change out the CPU, the RAM, the motherboard itself, as long as it fits, you're not going to break anything. It's basically do whatever you want with it. And that's something that we want to bring from the 45 drives division to Homelab for those type of people like myself and yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you haven't seen the 45HomeLab devices, definitely head out to the website, which, by the way, will be in the show notes. These machines are gorgeous. I mean, some of them, they come with everything but racing stripes. So fantastic looking machines. So I feel like, and kind of the impetus for the episode was I feel like I'm at a really good place to be like your target customer, because right now, sitting in a co-located data center just a few miles from my apartment is a Dell PowerEdge R720. And if you're not familiar with the R720, it's about 6 to 8 years old now, and maybe older than that. And it's the type of enterprise grade storage server that sounds like a jet engine when it spins up for about a good 45 seconds. And so I have a 1,300 square foot apartment with 2 bedrooms. Not an ideal use case. When I had a house and a basement with a 42U storage rack, it was great. It blended right in, and it was in the basement, so it was cool and dry, and So now, like, my home internet connection is a 3 gig symmetrical through Google Fiber. The colo is limited to 1 gig. You know, like we're in the Stone Age or some nonsense here. So I'm really, really wanting to, one, not have to pay a co-located data center for a server. Second of all, the hardware is getting old. Third of all, it's enterprise grade. And I refuse to pay the like $1,000 or some crazy nonsense to Dell for the IPMI port on it. So there's just a lot of reason why I want to move away from my current build. So what I'm thinking about is, do I want to use mini PCs as kind of an application tier, you know, run Proxmox or XCP-ng, and then have a storage server, or do I just want to go all out on one big box and move all my storage and all my, kind of like it is today? My PowerEdge is used to run Unraid, it's run TrueNAS in the past, and now it's sitting on Proxmox. So there's, I mean, you've probably lived this 1,000 times, but this is kind of the world that I'm living in, and like prosumer grade hardware is just everywhere now, and using a mini PC as an application node, as a virtual machine host sounds like a great plan. But do I really need a cluster? Do I just want to run Proxmox like I am now and just get newer hardware, something that's quiet that I can bring into my apartment? That's kind of where I'm at. So while you chew on that, we'll kind of get to some of the use cases here in a minute. But why don't you tell me my options here? What's some of the product lineup that folks can go dig their teeth into?
Yeah, so I'll start from the smallest and kind of work my way up there. So you have your home client, which is just a SBC kind of motherboard there, integrated CPU, up to 16 gigs of DDR5. It's good for like small applications, like if you're going to be running a small internal Plex server, things like that. If you're using it just as a regular desktop client, fantastic. Up from there, you have your workstation, a little bit bigger, can fit a low profile 4060 in it. Uses, again, DDR5, which I believe can go up to 64 gigs. It has an AMD Ryzen. The CPU has escaped me at the moment, but it uses the Aorus B550i. I live in acronyms and numbers land, especially being in the solution side. So sometimes they get jumbled up. But with the workstation, actually, I have one at home. And currently I have been just going through Crimson Desert, playing that just nonstop on that thing. And it holds up really well. Like don't drop below 60 frames a second. It is, and I have it streaming to my Steam Deck because I'm lazy and don't want to sit in a chair all day. But
there you go.
yeah, it's running from like most of the things are medium high. And mind you, that's an old one. We actually ship it out with the 5060 now, low profile. Then up from there, we have our HL4 and HL8. Most people go with the HL8 because I think it's maybe $100 in the difference. And I mean, you get double the capacity to upgrade in the future. It has a clamshell design. So you would just take the front corkscrews, I call them, off there. And then it just kind of clamshells open from there, where it exposes all the wires, the CPU, the drive cage. And again, fully modular. Uses a mini ITX board in it. From there, you would have, and this is kind of where you can get into your Proxmox hosting and things like that with the HL4 and 8. That is what I was using previously until I moved to a HL15 2.0 myself with some other hardware there. We had a previously, so my last Homelab was something that I put together. Well, I didn't actually when I got hired here. Little side tangent. I didn't come from an IT background or anything. I was a warehouse manager. Before that, I was working out west in Alberta as a tower mechanic. Mind you, this is climbing up 120-foot towers in the middle of the night. I have a fear of heights, so didn't.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but the money was great, so I was like, but I also don't want to do this for the next 30 years. But from there, I was like, okay, I'm going to start my CompTIA, doing my A+, and then I started and I see the job for 45 drives come up. They want you to have a college degree. And I was like, worst they can do is not respond or say no. They decided to take a chance on me, kind of a guinea pig sort of thing, me and another colleague, and we're both here 6 years later. So must have
that's
worked out
awesome.
in some regard. But I really wanted to get a handle on everything that we have, because when I started, it was CentOS 7, FreeNAS, I think 10, maybe, or 9. I can't remember. Old though. And from there, I was like, hey, I see we have some old components here. I wanted to buy them. And one of the owners of the company and our current CTO, who was actually doing support tickets back then, they were like, yeah, let's talk to you for a second out here. They take me to the lab. I was like, oh God, am I getting fired? And they're like,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
we're just like, we're talking to Doug. They want to give you this stuff for free. You're planning to learn. You want to be self-sufficient. We think that's great. But I just upgraded it this year, and it was a X10 DRL motherboard with 2 Xeon Bronze CPUs in it. And last year, I actually bought 2 cooling fans for them there, and they were so large that the fins actually were kind of shifting in between each other. And I was like, oh God, I was like, this needs to change. But from there, I got the HL15 chassis, where I put a Gigabyte ME03 motherboard in it. I had seen a 64 core, 128 thread CPU. I was like, okay, we're planning on throwing that out. Let me put that in there. And mind you, this Proxmox server was built terribly, because this was like my first month here, knew nothing. I was like, yeah, let's do all spinners for a virtualization system.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, RAID Z1, so like very little redundancy. And I was like, I'm just going to blow this whole thing out and start over. But long story short, yeah, HL15, that just goes to show the modularity of it, because you can put just any motherboard in there. But if you need something that's a little bit bigger, like if you want to do EATX, or if you want to put like a 5090 in there, good luck affording or finding one nowadays.
Right.
Yeah, funny enough, we have one here that I use for our Homelab videos, and the amount of times I'm like, what excuse can I use to take this home and say I'm testing it out and then not return it? But yeah, it's great for a full-size GPU. The HL15 Beast also has 8 dedicated SSD slots, where the HL15 has just those 15 HDD bays, or sorry, storage bays. You can put SSDs in them. And then we also have the X15, of course, our newest release, which, if you're somebody who is big into Unraid, it comes with a lifetime license. It's very similar to our X15, or sorry, HL15, but we've worked with Lime Technologies, the creators of Unraid, very closely. The hardware is a little bit different. Still has IPMI, because they all have either Gigabyte or ASRAC boards in them. So you still get that functionality, which is great. And then, also with the HL15 Beast, you have a choice of a ProArt 870E motherboard, or again, an ROM ASRAC motherboard. So if you want to go more server or more prosumer sort of deal there. So you have a lot of options. Or and I know I'm kind of going on a long-winded thing here.
No, I love it.
Something like this, when I'm passionate about it, I kind of just go off on a tangent. But the other thing that's great is, you don't like the hardware that's in it, that's fine. People have their use cases and everything. You can buy a system that is just the backplane, a system that is the backplane, the power supply, or you can buy a fully built-in burnt-in system. So there's lots of options there, especially if you have some RAM at your house, you have a motherboard, you don't want to, take out a second mortgage trying to afford them again. You have that option. You can just put the guts in there.
And that's something I really wanted to call out, was that 45HomeLab offers those 3 tiers on each of their products. It's really nice, because you can either get just the bare bones, or you can kind of get things pre-assembled, or you can get the full white glove. Everything's already been run for a bit. It's been stress tested. Just that real that real great, just drop it on my doorstep. I plug in my drives and I go because everything's already ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And you have your choice of OS, of course. We can ship it with Windows, no OS, Pop OS, but it's freely open, modular, whatever you want to do. And also ships with I believe it's a 500 gig NVMe on the HL15 and the Beast, and it is a 1 terabyte on the X15. So you do have that internal storage on those full builds as well.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about some use cases here. What are you just said you went through a big upgrade at home. What workloads do you have running on top of it?
So it's definitely overkill for what I currently have running on it, because right now it's just a couple of containers. I've been so lazy doing anything from home because I've been so busy at work that it's like I get home and I'm like, yeah, the server's not on fire. It can wait. So right now it's just very small. It's AdGuard for DNS. It's Proxmox overall, but and this time it's actually SSDs and RAID 10, so it's a little bit speedier this time. My latency isn't like 300%. But yeah, that's kind of the small little things. AdGuard, small little bit of Plex, and as of right now, it's more a dev machine than anything. So I still do a lot of things in the solution specialist, so configuration, troubleshooting, whatnot. And on the enterprise side, our customers, once they get the system, it's not like you're locked into a certain environment or anything. So they'll reach out and be like, hey, I'm trying to do this on my system. Can you help out? And it's like, I've never heard of that in my life, but yes, I can. Let me just go and try to lab this up real quick. So that's what I kind of do in my home server a lot. Now, mind you, it's going to get more robust as I get the time and the motivation to actually go and do it. But for use cases there, I say Proxmox is a big one. For any of the systems, really, like Plex is big, Frigate. That's one thing I actually did have running previously, but then one of my cameras died, and I was like, well, blow the whole thing out, start again. So I had what is it now? The Coral TPU, I believe it was, that I was passing through right to a VM that was able to run Frigate and everything on that HL15, which was great for that motion detection and all of that. What else did I have? Local AI system. I actually just did a video recently on PewDiePie's AI Odysseus, which surprisingly, like, I know next to nothing about like the underneath of AI or anything. I was coming at it from completely layman's. It's like, I use Claude, I use ChatGPT, but there's some cool stuff in it, like Cookbook and stuff like that, that it selects your model based on the hardware that would best be suited for you and things like that. But yeah, I see a lot of people using them for local AI. We actually had somebody reach out the other day. They wanted to know if we had anything that could fit 12 full-length GPUs in it.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, I was like, unfortunately, we don't, because that's getting like above enterprise at that point. That's I was like, yeah, that's a custom build right there.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, because I'd mentioned I'm running Proxmox here at home. It used to be Unraid, but I'm trying to move more to an infrastructure as code type of a workflow. And Unraid was great for containers. It was a great set it and forget it. So Unraid was running on the R720. And then I had 3 R730s that were going to run an OpenShift cluster. I was working for Red Hat at the time, and so OpenShift is their opinionated Kubernetes build. We'll never buy enterprise grade hardware ever again. Don't do it. But consumer and prosumer stuff works great. But let's see. So you can actually see just how sad my HomeLab has become over the last few years, because I sold off a few of my Unify routers and switches. I sold off the R730s and consolidated everything down to the R720. And switched from Unraid to Proxmox, and so now it's running a series of virtual machines that you can tell that I just kind of gave up on my migration plan. because there's a huge backup folder where some of my apps are still just sitting there waiting to be deployed. But then over the last 2 years, it's been running RHEL, Fedora, Alma Linux, and Rocky Linux. So you can tell how old a workflow is based on my LinkedIn job history. And so what I've actually been doing for the last month or so is I've installed Forjo with some runners, which if you're unfamiliar with Forjo, it's think of it as kind of like a GitHub that's self-hosted. It's got the Git repositories, the wiki, the issue tracking, but also you can spin up runners. It's got a container registry, so all that's built in. And so I'm actually running Fedora server Bootsy. So think about it kind of that AB operating system upgrade path where the operating system is semi-immutable. We'll have to cover Bootsy on this show at some point, but so it's very much more container driven. It's much more CI pipeline driven. So I'm moving all of my stuff over to that so that any changes to my infrastructure will now just be a YAML configuration change and a Git push, and then everything just shows up in my infrastructure. Nice. So my goal is to, around the time that's completed, to do a hardware migration. That way I can just redeploy all of my Bootsy images, redeploy all my Podman containers, which cover, I've got Plex, I've got Minecraft Bedrock, Calibre library for ebooks. I've got Valheim. Goodness, what else am I running out there? Oh, my website. My website actually just migrated from WordPress to static HTML using Hugo. So I've got some really nice projects on it. And once the operating systems, the infrastructure, all that kind of stuff is taken care of, the hardware is kind of the next priority. So I've got the R720. I've got the co-located data center, and I've got the apartment. And let's see, storage-wise, I've got a pair of 256 gig SSDs for the operating system. I've got two 2 terabyte SSDs for virtual machine storage. And then I've got 3 WD Red Pro 18 terabyte spinning disks for backups and Plex media. And so I'll probably keep a lot of that intact because I'm doing decent on the storage front. I may add a 4th 18 terabyte hard drive, but I'm not really sure on that. I think the underlying server infrastructure, the underlying server hardware is what needs to be replaced first. But so I've kind of shared a little bit about what I'm running, and like you, I work in the infrastructure space. So lots of virtual machines, spinning up, tearing down, doing horrible things to virtual machines before you delete them, and then you just spin up new ones that have no memory of all the things that you did at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're like, it should work.
Why won't you work?
Right. So what? Keeping in mind that I want to bring things in-house, that I'm wanting to grow the number of virtual machines I have will probably double in the next 12 months as I look at other things like, do I de-Googleify my life again? Do I go to Nextcloud? So storage and performance, I would like to run a local AI. And that can either be on the same hardware or this Homelab device could just be storage. There's so many things to think through. So if I were to drop this project on your plate, what type of hardware would you recommend?
Listen, I've seen your podcast. You work hard. I'm saying treat yourself to an HL15 Beast, fully loaded with a 5090, 512 gigs of DDR5. No. The one question I do have: what kind of CPU and RAM, or I guess how many cores and threads do you currently have, and your memory at this time?
Well, I did my homework because I assumed you were going to ask. So right now I am running 16 virtual machines, and I have 116 gigs of RAM provision for those virtual machines. Actual usage is probably a little bit lower. So about 116 gigs of RAM. Figure running Proxmox underneath, maybe another 8 gigs for the operating system, I think is their recommendation for kind of the higher end usage. So we're looking at 124 gigs of RAM. I'm considering all the projects that I'm considering, and especially as I start a new job or wherever I end up, I'll probably be doing more infrastructure, more testing. I prefer to do demos off my own machine.
Yep.
I'm conservatively guessing that could double in the next year. So we're looking at about 250 gigs of RAM, 16 virtual machines. That'll probably double, even though those may not all be live at the same time. Most of my virtual machines are running 4 cores each. So if you want to get out your calculator, your abacus, and start.
Oh yeah, I'm way ahead of you.
There's a few exceptions to that. Most of my virtual machines are running 4 cores, but there's a few exceptions, like Plex is running, I think 8 cores. The Forjo runners, I've got a pair of those. They're running 8 cores as well. So that number could easily double in the next year as well.
Okay. Let me see here. So based on that, so just the fact that it has 124 currently, and so that takes out everything below the HL15. So I would say HL15 is good to start with. And from there, let me see here. Where are my notes? There we go. So the HL15 comes with the ASRock ROM ED8-T2 motherboard. So with that, we have a few AMD Epics that you can plug into it. Probably go to the higher end with that, just to kind of have a little bit of a buffer, which would be the Epic 7452. And I believe that is 32 core, 64 threads. And so that would be right about the upper limits of where you want to be with everything, or where you're currently at. So maybe even if you want to go past that, different CPU that maybe we don't offer, or even just doing the bare bones, just the backplane power supply, and then sourcing or harvesting from what you currently have, if it does have any upgrade options. So there are a few paths there. And then, of course, you do have those 15 bays of storage for HDDs or SSDs. And that board does take 128 gigs there, but I do believe I've tested it with 256. Mind you, RAM is, I'm sure you know, one of those things that's so finicky that it's like, yeah, and the motherboard and CPU, of course, that it's like, oh, it's rated for this, but I put Crucial in it and that works fine, but then I put Samsung in it and it doesn't, but it's the exact same thing anyways. But,
right. Yeah. And hundreds of people across my audience are all nodding along to this, because we've all felt that pain.
Oh yeah. And then it also comes with that 9400 16i HBA, so you're not being bottlenecked by anything there, and it's that direct wired backplane as well, so they're all able to take fully advantage of that HBA, of the power of those drives and everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was afraid that's what you're going to suggest.
Yeah. I was like, depending on what he has, like if I hear anything over 100 gig, it's like, okay, we're going HL15 right there. And then if, of course, if you want to go higher than that, like if an EATX motherboard or anything like a full length GPU, then you're getting into the HL15 Beast territory.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So my biggest concern with going that big is the noise factor.
So for that now, and I have this written down. So with the regular fans that we have in it, it is, so 1 foot away is 42 to 44 decibels, 3 feet away is 33 to 35, and those are Dynatron PWM fans. But we also have an upgrade kit for full Noctua, which knocks that down considerably. Don't have the exact numbers there, but we know Noctua, we know how quiet they are. Really at that point there, well, I have an HL15 running at home, and I have one running at the office as well. So for when I'm doing testing, my colleague that I mentioned that I start at the same time here with, love the guy, but if there is something that is like repetitively noisy, and I'm the same way, it'd be like, can you please turn that off? But it's whisper quiet. Like there's some days that I have to like double check if the light wasn't on. I'd have to be like, okay, is this actually running? Like what's going on? But yeah, it is. There's one in my home right now. This might not be a practical testing, but we do have a cat that is literally scared of any noise, and I've rebooted that system, and they've been a foot or two away. Perfectly fine. That's just personal experience, but it is very, very quiet.
Gotcha. That's good to know. And so one of the things I was thinking about was I've got unified gear at home, and most of it's fanless. And so I was thinking about moving my networking gear out of the coat closet that's right next to me, right on the other side of this wall,
Yeah.
and putting it into one of the server racks that you all sell as well.
Yeah.
Do those provide any kind of noise canceling as well?
They don't. Of the ones we have, I've actually was looking at sourcing a noise canceling one myself. They do a good job of it, but not like the dedicated noise canceling ones. Because my God, the price jump in those that I've seen just looking them up, it was like, oh, if we have one sys rack it's 24U, you look for the equivalent, it's like a $2,000 difference. It's like you're just putting like foam around it, and it's like, I'm sure there's a lot more engineering that goes into it than that, but my little pea brain is like, it's just foam.
Right. Okay. All right. So now, does that purchase come with a shirt?
It can. Actually, funny enough, this one is so old. I don't think they even make this one anymore. It's not even the same logo that we have or anything. But no, we often do have like shirts, things like that on our website, bottle openers, and sometimes we have like get a freebie, something like that, like something to toss in there. But one thing I wanted to ask, so your networking, I've asked this to a few guests because every time we've had somebody on ours, they always have Unify gear, and I keep waiting to pull the trigger on it because right now mine is still just it's a managed switch, but it's like a Netgear managed switch that was like $100 or something like 5 years ago. Not great, but what kind do you have? Like the UDM Unify or yeah?
So that's something else I'm thinking about too. But I think the server needs to change before my networking gear, because right now my setup's pretty great. I've got a UDM Pro, and that runs that takes care of routing, firewall, DNS, DHCP. It's got a spinning drive in it for Unify security cameras that I had mounted on the outside of my house. Nice. I don't have those security cameras anymore. And then I've got the US XG6 that is a PoE switch.
Nice.
So I had 2 or 3 access points in the house, and then the 2 security cameras that ran off the XG6. And then desktop side, I have a USW Flex Mini. It's like a 4-port gigabit desktop switch that's also PoE. And then I just upgraded these a couple of months ago. Didn't need to, but just did. I've got the U7 Pro XGs, and I've got 2 of them inside of my 1,300 square foot apartment. Probably a little overkill, but I like redundancy. I'm a systems administrator, so one goes down, I still have the other.
Yeah, exactly.
You're asking about the Netgear, and I'm kind of torn, and I'd love to hear the audience's feedback on this as well, because with as simple as my Homelab has become, the XG6 is probably overkill, because one of my APs uses a power injector. So it's plugged into the wall for Ethernet, it's plugged into the wall for power, and then just run one Ethernet cord up to the ceiling. The other one is still powered off the PoE switch. So I literally have a switch here that is powering one router, and that's just not needed. The UDM Pro is really great. I love it. Everything's unified, if you'll forgive the pun. One single interface. It's great to manage my networking with, and I'm not a networking guy. I don't want to fight with the network. I just want it to work. So it works really well for that. But then, and this is why I want to circle back to your Netgear switch. Is I'm actually considering maybe a MikroTik or MikroTik, depending on how you want to say it. Because in my colo, I'm actually running OpenSense. So something like MikroTik Router OS or OpenSense might just be a way to go. That would just put further production limitations on a server. It couldn't go down because that runs everything. That runs the Wi-Fi. That runs the HomeLab. That runs Plex. That runs then also DHCP, DNS, just kind of that normal day-to-day stuff where my daughter and her tablet, that on-call factor goes up a little bit. So I'm kind of torn on that front as well.
I do hear good things about the I might be mispronouncing it, but the Omada switches that have come out recently.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna get flamed for this, but I believe it's a division of Netgear. I might be wrong on that, but it's pretty much like a as far as I've seen, it's a similar to the Unify stuff, but a bit cheaper. Apparently, it's not as the GUI isn't as fleshed out as Unify's is. And just the fact that you said, I'm not a network guy, I just want it to work and everything. That's kind of my whole thing between, so not a network guy either, but I want to learn as much as I can about networking because when it comes to learning something, my biggest difficulty is when it comes to something that I can't physically see, and I can see the network cables themselves, the ports, but when you come to those abstraction layers where you start going into your VLAN tags and everything like that, it all kind of turns to mush up there. So I'm like, okay, if I can get something that has an easy to use GUI from the get-go and then kind of evolve from there to something like OpenSense or MikroTik, which I've heard that the amount of features, the amount of power that you get with the, I believe it was the MikroTik stuff, that it's night and day compared to UDM, to Unify. But I was like, maybe for somebody who's like wants to get a better grasp on networking, maybe I'll start at the GUI stuff first. Plus, their hardware just looks so nice.
Their hardware looks amazing, and it runs fantastic. I've been a Unify shop for 15 plus years, and I've not bought anything network that wasn't Unify. I love their stuff. And if you want a GUI first experience, because that's the problem with like some of the Dell smart switches, or you get into some crazy stuff like Cisco.
Yeah.
It was command line first. But if you want a GUI hands-on visual experience, Unify has one of the most beautiful web interfaces that I've ever seen. And they've recently changed a lot of it. So the past year or so, the interface has changed a lot, but that won't impact you. Things that I used to know where it was is now somewhere else. So I have to use the in-app search function a little bit to say, I'm looking for port forwarding. Where did you hide that now? But it's intuitive, it's easy to use, and as someone who I just need basic network functionality. Well, basic as far as being a prosumer or a home labber. It's Unify is great. It's a little bit on the expensive side. That's why I tend to classify it as kind of a prosumer grade. But I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, the every time I connect with one of our customers, because a lot of them in the enterprise do use these Unify switches and everything, and I'm just like, oh, this is so nice to like navigate through and manage. And then here I am with my little $100 Netgear managed switch, where it's just like I use this. It's essentially a dummy switch at this point because I haven't done anything with it. So it's just 16 ports of 1 gig, which is funny too because my HomeLab has so the HL15 and the X15 and the Beast, they all come with 10 gig, dual 10 gig onboards. And then I also, because it's a Proxmox server, I was like, we have two 10 gig NICs, dual 10 gig NICs here. So I really have 6 10 gig ports altogether. And it's just going to a 1 gig switch. It's not really doing much past that because now it's just a dev environment. So I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do with this now?
Yeah, probably time to upgrade that switch, my friend.
Yeah, I think so.
So as we're coming to the end of the show, I always ask this of my guests: is there a topic or is there something that you wanted to cover that we haven't covered on the show thus far?
Oh, let me see. Nothing that I can think of. Actually, I do have a question for you. So,
Go
as
for
somebody
it.
who is a self-hoster, I kind of am trying to get into asking this question to anybody who's in that home lab space. What is something that either you regret self-hosting or you absolutely refuse to self-host?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question. So one thing I refuse to self-host is email.
Bingo. Good answer.
Email is probably the one thing that I will never ever bring in. The reputation system that email servers share, the amount of spam that comes in, it's just a nightmare. And if one bad email gets flagged or something, then all of a sudden you're off of everybody's trusted list. And so
Mhm.
things like bills and attorney emails and all this stuff that you depend on for life just
Mhm.
stop coming in. And it's like, I haven't gotten any emails for 3 days. That's really weird. Oh, great. Now I got to stay up all night and try and clean up this reputation.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah, and funny enough, when I got into home labbing and everything, reason I bring that up is one of the first things that I actually was like, "Oh, what should I try to self-host?" And this must have been a trolling comment on Reddit. I was just looking at some past ones, and they were like, "Oh, you should try an email server." And then I did not look any further into it, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." And then it was like, I think I spent 8 to 12 hours, like, just nonstop because I am bad for when I get into something, I am locked into it. Yeah,
Guilty.
it's bad, and then it'll be 12 hours later, I'm like, "Oh, I did not get up from my chair, did not have a drink of water, I feel like
Yep.
death now." And, yeah, it did not work out, and then I've never looked at it since, and then will never do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Email's a good one to stay away from, but there's so many things that, uh, actually, there was a question I skipped over, but, so on that front, if you are looking to buy one of these 45 Home Lab devices, if you've got a Home Lab that you're looking to get more use out of, I'd actually direct you to the 45 Home Lab webpage because one of the cool things on there is they do staff picks. Zach, you want to tell the audience a little bit about staff picks?
Yeah, so that's actually going through a bit of a revamp right now too, because there's so many projects. Like when we first started it, we took some of the like ones that a lot of people here use. So classics, Image, Plex, Jellyfin, Frigate, and now since myself and my friend behind the camera, Joe, we've been doing the Home Lab channel. We've been like, okay, there's a lot of projects, especially there's so many cool things with Proxmox coming out
Hmm.
that essentially it's going to be things that I've covered on the channel and that I personally use in my home lab or other people here use day to day in their home lab. So things like Image, Plex, that'll all be there. But then there'll be things like Proc Center UI, which I'm doing a video on recently, or coming up soon. Let's see what else. Prox Menu X, like there's a lot of Proxmox stuff that I've been delving into. But yeah, things like that that are just like either linked to the video, or I also have a side website I've been working on that's still part of 45 Home Lab called docs.45homelab.com. That if there is a video that I do that has an instruction, a feature set in it like that, it'll run through that entire thing in there because some people are fine with the video. Some people, like myself, if somebody like Techno Tim puts out a video, I'm always going to his website to
Mm.
look at the guide that he's put out with it because
Hmm.
that's how I'm best at deploying these kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go to docs.45homelab for that or store.45homelab.com for everything that we have on offer there.
Awesome. Well, that is Zack Perry from 45 Home Lab. Really appreciate you joining me. Really was looking forward to this episode, and I got to pick your brain about my own future investments.
Yeah. And yeah, really appreciate you having me on. Really hope I get to speak to you a little bit more in the future there. Are you going to Texas Linux Fest this year?
I am booked to speak at Texas Linux Fest, and as long
Really?
as the job situation lines up, then I will definitely be there. So if
Nice.
you're curious, that is in Austin, Texas, the first week of November. So go check out Texas Linux Fest. And then there's a few others I'm hoping to make, like All Things Open springs to mind. I think that's kind of it for 2026, unless at least the one off the top of my head. There may be some others. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out.
Yeah, I actually might be going to the Texas Linux Fest. So if I do, I'll definitely be hitting you up there.
Awesome, yeah. So definitely go check out 45HomeLab. They've got tons of guides, picks, and of course their beautiful hardware. Seriously, you got to go check this stuff out. Some of the blues and some of the oranges, just absolutely gorgeous hardware. Makes me kind of excited that I don't have a server rack in a basement, that I can show some of this gear off when I get it purchased. But that brings us to the end of today's episode, but tune in here in 2 weeks. I don't know exactly who the guest is going to be. I've got about 4 or 5 episode guides out under review right now, so it may just be more of my home lab journey, or we may have a completely different topic. We'll just see kind of who goes through the revision process first on episode guides. So definitely tune in 2 weeks. And in case you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe and the bell icon. That way you get notified anytime we produce new content. I've actually been working on growing the channel this summer, so hoping to put out some new tutorials, maybe some videos around my Bootsy migration here when that project wraps. So definitely a lot of content coming your way. Meantime, check out the Fedora podcast. We just put out an episode last week, and we've got another one scheduled for next week. So if you're interested in the Fedora project, go check out the Fedora podcast, where Noah Chalaya from the Ask Noah Show and myself are hosts. And Zach, anywhere else you want to send folks?
No, that's about it there. But I will say, not usually a big podcast guy or anything like that, listening to them or anything like that. I listened to your one with Matthias, and just talking about Bootsy and everything, something I looked at that very cursory glance. I was like, this is a rabbit hole I'm not getting into right now. But I listened to that thing, like it had me on the hook while I was actually doing like my documentation for this podcast here. And yeah, as Eric said there, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to him. It's a very good podcast. I'm actually going to be checking out some more episodes after this.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, Matthias and I got in pretty deep on Bootsy and home labbing, and he definitely gave me some ideas. Like, he works for a company called Victoria Metrics, so I might be using them to track logs and performance across all of these new virtual machine servers instead of just guessing whether they're up or not. So definitely check out the previous episodes of the show. It's kind of been an arc this year about how do I cut down on the number of subscriptions and how do I get more bang for my buck out of the home lab. Because while hardware has become incredibly expensive, so has every single subscription that we all have. So definitely check out the back catalog of this show. Thank you, Zach. Maybe I'll cut that as a short.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, everyone. On behalf of Zack Perry, my guest for today, I'm Eric, the IT Guy Hendricks. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again real soon.
See you now. Have a good one.